steel, wine, EVs, cheese, even airplanes. A few days ago, the United States and Europe called a truce. After years of tit-for-tat tariffs, they agreed to pause the fight, but it's just that, a pause. Because behind every tariff is a fight for something deeper: power, territory, leverage, and history proves these fights never really end. In this episode, we'll uncover the surprising origins of customs and tariffs, from ancient toll gates to modern trade wars. We'll see how tariffs sparked revolutions, funded empires, and nearly caused civil wars. We'll even ask, why are they still shaping our world today? Let's cross the border, into history. Tariffs are taxes on goods crossing borders. Simple? Not quite. Governments say they protect local jobs, level the playing field, or fight unfair trade. But customs have also been used for revenge, retaliation, even domination. A tariff isn't just a tax, it's a statement. You want access? Pay the price. And we've been saying that for thousands of years. Long before passports, there were checkpoints. Ancient Egypt taxed goods sailing down the Nile. Babylonians tallied goods in clay tablets at border markets, and in Rome, customs were everywhere. Want to move goods into the city? Pay the portorium. Want to leave town with a cart of grain? Pay again. Roman customs officials, called publicani, became rich and feared. They didn't just collect taxes, they bought the rights to exploit provinces. Even after the empire fell, the habit remained. By medieval times, a merchant crossing Europe might hit 24 toll stations in a single trip. Customs weren't invisible, they were walls, and rulers used them to squeeze every coin they could. By the 1600s, the age of exploration gave birth to a new idea: mercantilism. France, under Colbert, shielded its industries behind high tariffs. England taxed colonial imports and forced its colonies to buy British. And when colonists complained, the Crown doubled down. The Tea Act, the Sugar Act, the Stamp Act, all customs related, all hated. In Boston, customs officers searched ships and seized goods. One even killed an unarmed boy. That's how inflamed things were. Until one night in 1773, when colonists dumped 342 chests of taxed tea into the harbor. The Boston Tea Party wasn't just about tea, it was about a people saying, "We won't be taxed without a voice." Ironically, after independence, the new US government relied on tariffs to survive. Before income tax, up to 90% of federal revenue came from customs. But tariffs also reignited division. The industrial North wanted high tariffs to protect its goods. The agricultural South wanted free trade for its cotton exports. The 1828 Tariff of Abominations pushed things too far. South Carolina said, "We nullify this law." President Andrew Jackson said, "Try me." He prepared to send troops. A last-minute compromise avoided violence, but barely. The seeds of the Civil War had already been planted. While America fractured, something surprising was happening in Europe. In 1834, German states created the Zollverein, a shared customs union with no internal tariffs. It wasn't just about trade, it was about identity. With Prussia leading, the Zollverein made economic unity possible, and paved the way for political unification in 1871. Customs didn't just generate revenue, they created nations. And in France, the revolution tore down customs, literally. Before 1789, each province had its own tariffs and tolls. Moving wine from Burgundy to Paris meant bribes, receipts, and delays. The revolutionaries had enough. They abolished internal customs, burned toll houses, and created a single market. For the first time, a French citizen could move goods freely within France. Customs policy had become a symbol of liberty. Let's jump to the 20th century. In 1930, as the Great Depression spread, the US passed the Smoot-Hawley Tariff Act. It raised taxes on over 20,000 imported goods. The goal? Protect American farmers and workers. The result? Disaster. Canada, France, and dozens of others hit back with their own tariffs. World trade collapsed, prices soared, jobs vanished. Some historians argue Smoot-Hawley deepened the Depression, and even sped up the march toward World War II. It was economic nationalism gone wrong. After the war, the world took a different path. The GATT, and later the World Trade Organization, sought to lower tariffs and open trade. For decades it worked. Tariffs fell, global trade soared. But the peace was fragile. In the 2010s, the truce unraveled. The US imposed tariffs on Chinese solar panels. China retaliated with tariffs on soybeans. Then came steel, aluminum, cars. The Trump administration cited national security to justify new tariffs, including against European allies. The EU hit back with levies on bourbon, jeans, and motorcycles. Even airplanes became hostages. Airbus versus Boeing. The US and EU only settled the steel war in 2024. But the tension remains, customs are back, and louder than ever. When Britain voted for Brexit, it meant one thing above all: leaving the EU customs union. That meant customs checks, paperwork, delays, fines. For decades, goods had moved freely across borders. Now, trucks line up at Dover, forms pile up in Belfast. Brexit promised control. It also brought back the full weight of border bureaucracy. So why do tariffs never die? Because they serve more than economics. They protect identities. They reward allies. They punish rivals. They fund governments and stir patriotism. Tariffs speak a political language. You play fair or pay. And as the world shifts toward climate taxes, digital borders, and resource nationalism, customs will only grow more complex. From tea chests in Boston, to steel quotas in Brussels, from burnt toll houses in Paris, to traffic jams at the Irish border, customs aren't just taxes, they're power. They build nations, they break alliances, they outlast wars. More than borders, customs shape empires. Hit subscribe, comment, and like the video, only if you liked it. And please, stay curious.